He expressed warnings to others of a force so menacing and unbeatable, it could only be described as supernatural. He called them ghosts.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Call of Duty Ghosts Veteran Difficulty video walkthrough. This is mission 13, it's entitled End of the Line, and I can't really remember this mission for some reason. I'm sure I will when we get into the meat and veg of it, but as it stands I don't really remember the dark, rainy jungle. Yeah, I can't remember this at all. How bad is my short-term memory? But I've just been trying to check some comments on YouTube again in this new system of Google Plus bullshit, and I swear to God, just telling me how to check my comments was like a Google fucking, like a Microsoft Excel sheet of nonsense. How is this any better, you know? Oh, you can get it on your mobile device, you can get it on your Google bar, you can get it on your fucking iPod, iPenis. Like, I don't care. I care so little about this dog shit. I don't understand it, man. People who never use YouTube making decisions about YouTube. That's what it is. It's people in offices wearing fucking suits, looking at statistical like lines and averages, and having people who actually touch the software but don't touch it on any regular extent like we do, making decisions on how it should function. Like, why have an inbox when it's not going to receive notifications for comments? It makes no sense. Are they phasing the inbox out? It's still there. It's not doing its job, but it's still there. Like, why? What kind of... Ugh. It makes me wonder if the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, because at this time they're both jacking off to gay porn. There's nothing wrong with that if you're gay. It's just a joke, fellas. It's stupid, and I'm not happy. But what can I do? I can't change it, and I've just got to accept it. Interesting to note on this level, folks, I started with a honey badger with a red dot sight. Why didn't I start with a honey badger with a red dot sight on the first level? Makes no sense. And now I remember this level. Yeah, I remember this. I didn't remember the jungle, but I remember this. This is a pretty simple level. It looks all crazy in Terminator 1 Factory, but it's really not too bad. And you also get to use the thermal vision, which I've already mentioned in a previous video that I like it a lot, and I'm going to reiterate how much I damn like it because it looks awesome. I'm going to be using thermal vision when I don't need to because it looks so damn sexy. It's like shooting people at a psychedelic 70s disco. I had a lot of fun with it. And when the lights turn on as well, your vision turns into Riddicks when the sun's out. It's hilarious. But for the first part of this mission, there is a bit of an emphasis on moving forward and, you know, a bit of a calm before everything kicks off, which I do appreciate. And there's a fella over here that it wants me to stealth kill. I'm running around and he hears me, but it's cool because I stabbed him in the chest and we're all friends now. But I was thinking before I did this commentary of what the next project's going to be on the channel. There's a couple of ongoing ones that a lot of people that are already with me are enjoying, which are obviously going to continue, but as far as new projects go, because I'm not getting the new consoles, I don't know what I'm going to be covering. And I want the new consoles, I just don't. There's nothing there that's saying buy them. And I am interested in some of the games, but I'm not interested enough to shell out the kind of money that they want for these consoles when they haven't proven themselves yet. And I know there's going to be a lot of traffic, and I know it's going to generate a lot of revenue for YouTubers just covering the consoles, but I've never really done anything simply for the money on my channel. The money's just the side, you know, aspect of people appreciate what I'm doing. And it's cool, but, you know, I don't look at it as this financial loss, because I'm not a big enough channel where it really has that kind of impact on my life. But this is interesting, this room, because this middle piece of the missile, or the piece of the Odin, or whatever the hell the satellite, the building piece is, it's moving on a conveyor belt, which is essentially moving cover, which is an extension of a cover mechanic, which you don't see too often. You know, Gears of War 2 tried to do some interesting things with cover, where the cover shifted and moved around and went up and down and you could control it, which was an interesting idea. I personally hated it because it didn't really add anything but piss me off. Moving cover, though, sounds like an interesting concept. It could work. Another game that did moving cover was Vanquish on the last boss, and that made that last boss much more challenging than it would have been without. Big time. And if anybody hasn't seen the last boss on Vanquish, you owe it to yourself to play that game. It is a very, very challenging game. but the new consoles are coming, and I was going to say that I'm covering South Park, because I can't wait for the Stick of Truth, because it looks amazing, but they've delayed it to March, and unfortunately, if it comes out at the same time that Dark Souls 2 does, the Stick of Truth is not getting played. It's just a fact, you know. For the most, I kind of turn off what I want to do, and I do what I should do when it comes to YouTube, even if I would rather be doing other things, because that's just the level of professionalism I try to bring. But with Dark Souls 2, if Dark Souls 2 gets me like the first one did, which, who knows, it might not, but if it does, you know, I'm going to be lost for a while in nothing but Dark Souls 2. So if you're not a fan of the Souls series, then my channel's probably going to go on a bit of a back burner for you, and you'll probably migrate and watch other things for a while. But I will be hitting that game harder than I hit any games, you know. I covered Dark Souls 1 pretty damn exclusively, and I got to that game nearly a year and a half late. So I'm going to be there from the very beginning of Dark Souls 2, and I'm going to do so much content for it. And like, I don't even care if nobody watches it. I just want to do content for it because I want to represent that game. So the worst case scenario now is that I play the beta, or I get the full game and I don't like it. But I'm sure I'll find ways to occupy myself if that happens. This is interesting, this mission, because not a lot of shootings happened so far for a Call of Duty mission. There's been quite a lot of, you know, exposition happening, quite a lot of mystery and intrigue, and the building of tension. And the ever so handy-dandy glistening computers telling me that, yo dog, you should probably touch this big gold PC. That is a big mouse. What is going on? All this future tech, and that mouse is huge. I've seen some of those gaming mouses that literally look like a little fortress for your hand, and I have no idea how they can ergonomically work or be functional at all. But that's cool. That's one of my favourite parts of the game, because on these games all you do is breach into rooms filled with dudes who have no idea you're there, and for a change they breached us, and I thought that was a really cool idea, and I think this is one of the most intense and fun shootouts in the game. It's not challenging because you're never really at threat. Like, if you were a real threat, you'd have 9 grenades landing in your face like Christmas decorations on an extremely shitty tree. But instead you're not. So you just shoot them. And I'm a big fan of the strap on this gun. I have a thing for straps on weaponry. And you can cut off the weaponry part on that and it sounds like I say I've got a thing for strap-ons. I just didn't say it with the right cadence for it to be funny. But this is the visual mode of the thermals. You'll notice that our team aren't showing up as warm. My girlfriend noticed that and wondered what it was, and I believe that they're wearing the neoprene suits that they use for Arctic conditions, and obviously that's going to trap heat and make them a lot more difficult to see. But in this universe of thermal, if you're red or if you're blue doesn't really matter, because blue is going to stand out just as much as red does in this massive, you know, pink, violet world of awesome. Another thing I noticed as well, I believe the room is cloudy, it's filled with smoke and stuff happening, so none of these guys seem to be shooting you back. So this is one of those rare instances where you're shooting people without getting view kicked, and it reminds you of how much fun it is to shoot people without being view kicked. So yeah, if you want to sign my petition on Kickstarter for removal of view kick in Call of Duty, feel free to do so. I'll leave it in the link down below the description of the video. I wouldn't recommend checking it though because the link doesn't exist and there is no Kickstarter and that's not a thing. But, you know, there you go. But I love this vision mode. And it might just be because it's pink and purple and I've got a thing for pink and purple. And I'm not even a person who has the sexual proclivity towards men to enjoy those colours, I just do. You know, I don't have to wear arseless chaps and really tight vests from Baby Gap, I can still appreciate a good shade of pink. But look, he just told me to lose the thermals. I keep the thermals on. And I don't know if there's a range limitation to the thermals, because you'll notice the people on the balcony aren't glowing a funny colour. They're just kind of, you know, standard colour, I guess. Maybe those people are wearing suits to trap their body heat, so I can't see them either, their heat signature. Which would be really interesting. And speaking of something really interesting, I was thinking last night about Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 had this emphasis on drones, you know, future warfare. In the future, when China becomes a massive douchebag of a country and they start causing havoc, they're going to send drones after us. They're going to control our infrastructure and send more drones after us. There's this massive emphasis on controlled, unmanned weapons of war. You know, big AGR kind of tanky things and drones and hunter-killer drones and more drones and, you know, fucking bees' nests filled with them. And then when you played the game, there was like one of those walking robots. There was a bunch of little walking robots, and then that was it. There was a hunter-killer mentioned once, you know, on the back of a magazine next to a porno advertisement, and that was it. There was no emphasis at all on the robot aspect of the warfare, so everybody expected it, and I personally didn't want it. I was the kind of guy that's like, oh, I don't really want to use robots and drones and have, you know, little giant bipedal walkers next to me firing missiles and what have you. But then when it wasn't in the game and I anticipated it to be there, I kind of missed it, and I kind of wondered why they didn't implement it further. And here's an example of what I would have put forward if I was part of the dev team on Black Ops 2. And if you've not played Black Ops 2, I apologise, this doesn't mean anything to you. But the hunter-killer drone is essentially a guided grenade. That's all it is. It's a grenade that flies up in the air, circles like a kestrel, and then comes down and kills things. Or tries to kill things, depending on what happens. Why the hell did the enemies never throw those things at you? Just imagine how different the battlefield would have been if at any moment, like the threat of a grenade, there was the threat of a hunter-killer going up in the air, and the immediate warning on the screen of, you know, incoming hunter-killer. So you literally had to look up in desperation, still, you know, staying safe from the bullets behind cover, but knowing you were suddenly in danger. And you just see this thing careering towards you, and if you're not quick enough and your game isn't good enough, you're dead. How cool would that have been for just a challenge and just to keep the battlefield moving and give it that impetus of intensity? And I think that would have been really fun. It would have been bullshit on veteran at times, and I would probably have got really mad with it, getting cheesed before a checkpoint, but just the fact that I was never safe. And one of the biggest problems with these kind of games is, you know, if you sit behind a piece of cover, you can lay there until your life comes back, and then you can bob back up, kill 2 guys, get shot again, lay there, get your life back, and repeat. That's all you do. The only threat at that position is bad spawns and grenades. There's no other thing that's going to happen that's going to force you out of that scenario. Hunter-killers would even the field so much. I just think it'd be really cool. And on the same logic, you'd get to throw them out yourself. So you'd get to use the hunter-killer in the single player. I think that'd be awesome. But I just don't remember any sequences of that happening. Ever. That weren't scripted or just there to be like, oh, it's all going crazy, the Chinese are assholes. And that's it. This sequence here is really strange. It's very difficult to aim, there's a lot of people shooting you, and if you want to die, the game will tell you when you're supposed to. Because there's nothing much you can do, except for lay and pray, which is what I spend the most of the end of this video doing. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this journey through the Ghost's vision of the future. And as always, you take care now.
J-Sock will give us our next steps. Time to head home, boys.